Hello there. Hi. This video is going to explore the NLP technique modalities in one's quest to generate more leads and hopefully closing down sales. Particularly important if you are running a business and you're trying to harness enough clientele to help you through, particularly these challenging times. And with regards to this particular technique, it's really about having an awareness of the client's preferred representational system, or their PRS. Okay. Now, this is normally represented within the acronym VAKOG, VAKOG. So the V stands for visual, A is auditory, K is kinesthetic, O is olfactory, and G is gustatory. Now, with the visual, with the V, if you see it, there's a really good chance that you'll believe it. So there are a lot of people who are visual people. They're visual perceptors, visual learners. If they can see it through an image or some kind of imagery or a video, then there's a greater chance of trying to get through to their unconscious mind, through their eyes, conscious mind, subconscious mind, all the way back to the unconscious mind, which is the powerhouse, which makes all of the key decisions. So that's V. A is auditory. So again, some people prefer to listen to help them to understand and to learn. So particularly some people would prefer to listen to podcasts rather than reading blogs. And again, that is their preferred styles. It's really important to know that as best as you possibly can. With regards to K, that's kinesthetic. So people who normally are very tactile, they like to handle things, they like to touch things, for them to be able and manipulate things physically using their body, then that's how they learn best. So it's really important to understand if somebody's leaning more towards the kinesthetic side of things. Olfactory is the smell, using the nose. So again, if they're more attuned to certain smells, I know for me, I absolutely love the smell of freshly baked bread, which I'm witnessing quite a lot while being in lockdown. So when you walk past people's houses, there's lots of beautifully, baked bread and the lovely smells. And again, that makes you feel hungry, or you want to make bread yourself. It motivates you to do something. So again, olfactory. And then the G, which is gustatory, is about taste. So for example, tasting delicious, tasting nice, tasting sweet. And again, it's about putting in a suggestion that something will involve it tasting very nice. And again, we're not saying that you, as a salesperson, you tap into every single one of those individual modalities, because it all depends on the dynamism of the situation that you're in, and also the trajectory that you want to take the conversation. So, for example, if you know someone is a highly visual person, then you want to be asking questions which actually tap into their dominant modality. So you've got their complete attention, because you're going in there looking at everything visual. So asking questions like, well, Jane, can you picture this? Or John, can you visualize how that will, how that will feel, or what it will look like? And it's about using your questions to be able to work with their preferred representational system. Now, before you even get to asking these specific questions to tap into their PRS, you may want to just establish some kind of rapport building initially. And there is a video on rapport building on my channel, so you can have a look at that with a specific regards to the to the lead generation context rather. But you want to be able to just get to know them, their rapport, but their background, and then see how they react, any emotional responses. Are they quite animated in terms of how they speak? Does their voice, tonality change as they are going through a topic? Does the speed change? They get more fluent because they're more passionate. So all these things are really important to take note of when you're trying to, as you're rapport building with the client. And then you're trying to then assess, well, which modality do I need to, use in order to really get more into the client's mind, and then particularly into their unconscious mind. Now, in terms of auditory, you could say something like, for example, well, Peter, what do you think it'll sound like, in terms of driving your brand new car? What will that, turning the key and then starting the engine and driving off, what will that sound like? What would you hear? And again, that kind of, puts them into that frame. Oh, it would be fantastic. It'd be brilliant, and then hopefully they'll buy the car off you afterwards. Now, with kinesthetic, it's about saying, well, what do you think it'll feel like, sitting? Again, if we use the car analogy, what would it feel like just to sit in that comfortable leather seat, or you're handling the new sat nav or the new music player? Okay, so it's really, really important to be able to ask specific questions, which then work towards their preferred modality, in the sense that this is how they process language to help them to communicate. And with the olfactory, again, I think I gave you the early example of, well, what do you think it'll smell like? So somebody wants to start their own baking business, maybe from home, and then they have a lot of people walking past their house, and they want to, what do you think passers-by will smell when you're constantly baking fresh bread? What do you think will be their reaction to that? And obviously, how do you feel when you smell fresh bread? When it's been baked in the oven, it may well have been the smell of fresh bread that's motivating to start a business, or they want a business loan to get things moving. Okay, so that's the olfactory, the O bit of the VACOG, the acronym. And then the G bit, which is the gustatory one. And again, if people, particularly people who are food connoisseurs, they like tasting different types of food. They're very much into, sweet taste, tangy taste, bitter taste, sour taste, or whatever it might be. And again, if people are quite inclined to, to drink wine and be quite knowledgeable about different types of wine, your dry variety, your sweet variety, your medium variety. Now, again, if they're revealing that in the initial conversation, you might want to tap into that. If this was a bottle of wine, how would you rate it? What would it taste like if you were to have this product? So just trying to visualize things within the modality, the preferred dominant modality, that actually helps them to be who they are, and actually helps them to go to the unconscious mind, to just check in with the unconscious mind and say, is this the right thing? Yes, because it tastes good, because it looks good, because it, when you listen to it, it makes you feel fantastic, or it feels fantastic, smells great. So all these things are all triple checked and endorsed and validated in the unconscious mind before the mind then starts to transmit signals through the subconscious mind, the conscious mind, then the use of the speech that say, yes, I want that loan. Yes, I want your coaching package. Yes, I'll buy that off you, because you've tapped into, their preferred modality or modalities. Like I said, you don't have to use every single modality. You just have to get a sense of which modality that they're in. Now, it's virtually in all my years of coaching and teaching, you tend to find that people will either be dominant in one or maybe a couple. And I doubt very much if nobody will have no sense of modality at all. They definitely will. But what you need to do, even with the more shy, retiring, more reticent people, clients, they're the ones you've got to work a little bit harder to try to really dig deep and try and get an image of, what kind of a person are they? How do they perceive information, process language? And then that way, I'm then going to frame my questions accordingly to try to get into their minds. So hopefully they will then change their minds and then switch over, feeling more warmer. And then hopefully you'll be able to then come to an agreement, and then for them to buy that product or that service from you. Okay, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that video.